Live and direct, Fabian PerspecTV. AllBallTV. Let's get right into it. Okay, so Shannon Sharpe, breaking news, was fired from FS1. Stephen A. Smith, Chatty Patty style, reveals this on the Joe Budden podcast.
The second that Shannon became available. And I like that you did this, by the way.
Right.
I like that you, hey, right. I make no qualm, I would like him over here. I like that for the business. But for the skip stuff, I was like, oh, no, that's a jab. That hurts. You're going to go after the co-host so soon. You didn't care.
I didn't look at it that way.
Got it.
I would have looked at it that way if Shannon left of his own volition. I'm telling you he didn't. I'm telling you he was pushed out.
That's the first time I've ever heard that.
Well, I'm telling you, and it's fact. Now, they could deny it. He wouldn't. I can promise you that. He was pushed out. He didn't want to leave. He was notified that your services would no longer be needed. But again, that's his story to tell. But I'm telling you what I know. I'm giving you facts. And so when I saw that, it wasn't just that I know the brother's talented. It wasn't just that I know he's a 3-time Super Bowl champion and an NFL Hall of Famer. It wasn't just that I knew that he had been doing television the last 6 years. I saw me from the standpoint of I was let go in 2009 and left for dead. And they were writing my epitaph, and they were like, Stephen A's career's over. He blew it. He had the opportunity of a lifetime. He effed it up and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, there was nobody in the present-day Stephen A. Smith position as the guy in sports media, as the executive producer for the #1 sports morning show that could speak up for me at that time. And I said, this is why I'm here. It's my responsibility. So, you know, it's nothing new. When you look at Swagoo, Marcus Spears, and you see his new contract, when you see Ryan Clark and all the things that he's doing, when you see a Kimberly Martin that was a NFL reporter and now she's on television, when you see a Monica McNutt and all this stuff, like, you know what? I'm at a point in time where if I don't want you on First Take, you ain't coming on First Take.
That's it.
And if I don't want you on First Take and you ain't coming on First Take, the likelihood is that you're going to have a problem getting on television because that's the #1 morning show. And if Stephen A. ain't feeling you for that show, why should we feel you for X, Y, and Z show?
Now, you heard it there. Stephen A. Smith basically saying, skip Bayless, FS1. They got Shannon Sharpe up out of there. I think that's a big mistake by FS1. That's an insane mistake. Clearly, there's a relationship there between Skip Bayless and FS1. They were holding to some loyalty and banking on Skip Bayless reviving the FS1 show. I personally believe that they are a decent show now. It's a lot better than I thought, but Richard Sherman is still horrible. There's no way possible that should continue as a mainstay. That's crazy. But the carousel, Michael Irvin, Keyshawn Johnson, is just like having any other great NFL show. But everyone speaking to the way Skip Bayless is controlling, this is proof of it. The fact that Stephen A. Smith is admitting this publicly on a platform like Joe Budden. And I mean, any way he speaks at this point is gonna make news. But I just think they're both very powerful still. Stephen A. Smith is he's flexing his muscles at ESPN. The way he extended the olive branch to Shannon Sharpe, it lends to believe that he's still wielding his power, flexing with ESPN. Shannon going there for 2 days promoting his Club Shay Shay. He just had Chris Brown on there, the Club Shay Shay podcast, which he 100% owns. And remember, FS1 and Fox, they were okay with just buying out that contract for Shannon Sharpe and just getting him off the air. They no longer wanted the issue between Shannon Sharpe and Skip Bayless. I think it looks like the same deal that ESPN was going through, where they didn't want Richard Sherman or anyone else getting close to upending the image of Skip Bayless. it's part of the reason why Nick Wright is not on that show with Skip Bayless. He presents more factual information than Skip, even though he's even kind of like out there. He's ridiculous. And our guy Shady McCoy, crazy work. My man, crazy work, Shady McCoy. He's charismatic, but it just feels like he would pull no punches. He's more a part of the YouTube era where everything's a lot more real. You have to be way more real than or at least appear to be that way. And I don't even know how to explain that one. I just feel like he would pull no punches on Skip though. I think that's what FS1 is worried about with Skip Bayless. He's the ultimate anti-villain. Like he's just, and he's been that way his whole life. So for him to have even Dion being on the show now, he's going on there as the #1 show probably on FS1, and he's appearing on there with Michael Irvin. I thought there was a beef between Deion Sanders and ESPN with how they handled Michael Irvin and they let him go. And let's get into that real quick. I think Michael Irvin, he won the settlement with the Marriott Hotel when they accused him of sexual harassment or maybe sexual assault. It looks like he settled for $25 million. Everyone, there's reports of $100 million and $25 million. I don't know which one is more reputable, but everyone's putting their reputation on the line to say that Michael Irvin won the case. Good for him. The fact that he's no longer on ESPN, though, I see an article here where it's detailing it might have to just to do with more about the proximity. It's easier for him to get around the NFL Network and Fox than it is to, East Coast based, I guess, ESPN. But it's so much drama involving these big celebrities. Michael Irvin was always making headlines. And it's funny how everything just seems set up, because even for someone my age, I'm 40 years old. Anyone who's around my age, a peer of mine and older, Michael Irvin, Deion Sanders, all these guys are celebrities from back then. They're still gonna resonate. Like they don't die out because these guys careers are over. They're still on television, and that's a part of their relevancy. That's a part of their their reach is us watching them back then, and we know them for having these same headlines for similar headlines their entire public life. So it's unfortunate, but you better believe that Fox and ESPN and whoever else, they play with that line until they can't, and they didn't want to take a chance on Michael Irvin during the Super Bowl and having to answer those questions. They didn't have his back. So before the settlement was even reached, he's on FS1, he's on Fox. I'm pretty sure Michael Irvin's going to remember that. I think it would take a lot of money or, a lot more of some persuasion from ESPN for him to ever go back there. I mean, it is the #1 sports network still. As much as people complain about ESPN dropping, everything has dropped. FS1 has creeped up, though. And I think that's Skip Bayless's goal. Clearly, that's FS1's goal. They were almost a part of ESPN and Disney when Disney bought out a bunch of Fox's properties. And, it's going to be interesting. I don't think Michael Irvin is great on TV. I think he's okay in spots. Similar to Shannon Sharpe. Even Stephen A. surprises me, but Stephen A. has a lot of tonality to him. He has different levels of tonality. I think he's really good at being that guy. So will Michael Irvin ever be that? I don't think so. I think he's a one tone kind of guy. But we'll see what's going on. Congrats to him making the $25 million, clearing his name, even though you kind of don't ever clear your name when you Google Michael Irvin. That's always going to pop up. So that's unfortunate that you have to sue to clear your name, even though it's never really clear. Because clear, you want to delete stuff like that. Of course, you want people to retract it, but so it's gonna be interesting. The war of ESPN versus FS1. It's not quite ugly, but Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless are really, really getting this Professor X Magneto on. Even though they're both like Magneto, I don't think either one of them are great people. Like great people. Like I think that they're both. And I don't want to say that. I think they're both. Just you see what's going on with power. This is what it is. What power is, and they don't get to be general managers of a sports team. They don't get to be head coaches. They don't get to be the types of players in any sport that they've ever covered in their life. But they're players in their sport now, which is talking about sports, right? And it seems silly, but there's so much money involved. There's so much drama involved. And they're just going to continue to really go at each other subliminally, directly. I don't even know if I'm ever looking forward to a Skip Bayless, Stephen A. Smith sit down ever again. I personally I don't think so, but we have to enjoy the power between them or watching what they're both doing. I mean, for Skip Bayless to say, you know what, I'm done with Shannon Sharpe too, and I can do this without him. I want to make another star. I want to make something else happen. And he basically just took what ESPN did. He basically made ESPN 2 for FS1, right? And I think he's waiting. He's really waiting in the water right now. I think he knew they were gonna have Dion on there. I think he knew. He's been there before. He's been in this industry long enough, especially on television, to know there's a superstar waiting in the water. And he's waiting for that opportunity. I think Skip Bayless is competitive enough. There's going to be a point where Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless have a major fallout in public. I think we're all waiting for that to get really ugly because they keep going back and forth on a petty featherweight level. And I believe Skip eated him the first round, when they really went at it. Because it felt like he put Stephen A. in his place, because Stephen A. spoke out of turn about something and he had to retract it. Regardless of how Stephen A. puts it, he had to retract the initial statement that he made. And just let's not forget that Stephen A. was off of television, was basically banned from TV on ESPN, and was working for free when he appeared on ESPN. And Skip Bayless helped him get paid, and he helped him get on television. To get on ESPN means everything, because especially back then, it's the biggest sports network. How much visibility can you get? How much more visibility can you get? So, and they know that them talking about each other now is the same thing as them being on the same show going at it, back and forth every day. So now they're both, this would be ill if they're both just really good friends on the low, and they're really good brothers, and they're just behind the scenes running both networks, and they're getting paid to run both networks, be essentially content creators, and I mean, buying out the equity. Like, imagine how much if Skip Bayless owns a bunch of Disney stock. You know what I mean? Like, that would be hilarious. So shout out to both of them, because they're really the two most powerful people in sports media. Is it Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith? I thought Shannon Sharpe had some more some more stake in this, but he could have given it away to Stephen A. Smith. Like, Stephen A. might be, maybe, the shrewdest of them all. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the sickest of them all? Man, oh man. So that's me. I'm just a couple thoughts, live and direct, Fabian PerspecTV, AllBallTV. Catch you on the flip side.